it's all paper.
Yeah.
There's really no digitization, blockchain or otherwise. And so I think it's only a matter of time until you can perform those other functions, lend, borrow, provide liquidity to facilitate trading, these types of things, which also enhance your returns.
Yeah.
Right. So by making it composable, now you can actually boost your return on top in a fundamental way.
Yeah.
And so I don't think, smart money is going to leave that on the table once they understand the mechanics.
Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, we're going to switch it up a little bit. I was asked by some of you viewers to talk and discuss about some other assets that I hold in my portfolio. So today we're going to be discussing and talking about Flare, the Flare network, why I'm so optimistic on the future of the Flare ecosystem, and why it is that I personally hold Flare in my portfolio. So make sure that you stick around for the entirety of today's video breakdown. It is going to be one of those lengthy ones, but we're going to jump into some fundamental breakdowns, some video clips, all showing you guys prime examples of why I'm heavily fixated on stacking more Flare while it's worth only about 2 cents during this current market cycle. So again, none of this is financial advice. I was just asked by some of you guys to elaborate on some other, aspects of my crypto portfolio. And so I thought that I'd make a detailed breakdown on Flare because they have been absolutely cooking up. So in today's breakdown, we're going to get into digital identity, the maturation of the entire ecosystem as a whole, and large organizations fixating their attention on regulated blockchains, data, how data is going to be the new currency in the future, or if not, it already is. And then also DeFi and security enhancements amongst these protocols, these networks, these chains, and so on and so forth that we are all investing in. And Flare fits the role in all of those things, developments across the board in digital identity, data, DeFi, and security. So that's what we're going to be covering in today's video breakdown. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit more of a lengthy one because I have, give or take, roughly about 20 tabs open for you guys, but very juicy, jam-packed, and filled with information. If you're new to Flare, you're definitely going to want to stick around. And if you're already, involved in Flare and you know about Flare, then you're also going to want to stick around because you might learn something new. So we're going to start here. I put this post out for you guys. Now, this is more so of a pay attention post where it says, notice how the co-founder of Flare Networks, Hugo Filion, isn't reposting about speculative price targets or bullish moonboy hype from mainstream influencers. The reason why I put this out is because I noticed just a couple of days ago, Hugo Filion reposted something that I posted about Flare Network, which we'll get into in just 1 second. And then right after that, Flare Network themselves actually thanked me, where they said, thanks for the coverage from C to Manoncore. We recently did an AMA with Red Date. Now, this was really cool for me to see because it kind of got the brain juices flowing where I'm sitting there and I'm like, you don't see organizations and CEOs or co-founders of these organizations reposting bullish moonboy hype or Hopium targets. And I think that that's important because that shows you guys the people that you all should be paying attention to, the in-depth fundamental analysis researchers that are putting out good, valuable information to you guys like myself and many others out there. So I said, instead, you see him amplifying the voices of researchers and thought leaders who truly understand the real-world problems Flare solves. Flare Network isn't focused on short-term price appreciation or speculation. They are here to tackle critical challenges in the DeFi and Web3 ecosystem, revolutionizing how data is collected, sourced, and distributed. The impact that they will have is far greater than just market movements. It's about creating lasting, transformative change. So I thought that I'd throw that in there as an intro. Moving on, okay? So this is their post where they said, thanks for the coverage. We recently did an AMA with Red Date. Now, if you guys haven't seen the news here, this just came out, a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's phenomenal. So I tweeted twice about this, and I said, Flare's potential. Flare's role in China's real digital identity cross-border KYC trials showcases blockchain's power in regulated environments. As a retail investor, isn't one of our biggest concerns that we're going to get rug pulled or, the regulators are going to come crashing down on a project that we're invested in and it's going to go bye-byes? Well, this to me shows that Flare is attempting, if not already operating in a regulated environment. Okay. So Flare enables compliance with zero exposure, leading in privacy-focused solutions, and opens the door to transformative decentralized identity. We're going to get into this in just 1 second. Another post that I made where I said, market maturity and integration. Flare Network's trial with this organization, Red Date Technology, shows progress in balancing digital assets with traditional finance. By enabling regulated stablecoins, there's that key word again, used for Chinese residents, this milestone highlights blockchain's evolving role in secure, compliant financial ecosystems. That's why I think this is so massive, because it shows Flare participating in a regulated environment via regulated institutions and attempting to bridge the gap between TradFi and DeFi, which we all know is converging at a very rapid pace. Traditional finance is 110% awake and aware to what's happening, and they are adopting these new technologies and integrating them into their core banking infrastructure that we've already confirmed in previous breakdowns. If you're new here, if you're new to crypto, or if you're new to CYPRX, I'm telling you guys, go back and watch a couple of our previous video breakdowns just to kind of get in the loop with our flow here at CYPRX. Moving on, so let's just tackle this fundamental piece. By the way, here is this AMA recap. You guys should definitely take some time and listen to it. It's not too lengthy, but filled and jam-packed with lots of good gems moving forward and things to be paying attention to in the future as we head into 2025. Here is the post from Flare Network on LinkedIn where they say, Flare Network exemplifies how blockchain can be deployed in regulated environments to solve real-world challenges. Through this trial with Red Date Technology on our blockchain infrastructure, we've shown that compliance and privacy can go hand in hand. We are excited to lead the way in bringing decentralized solutions to new markets, particularly in China, which again has a population of billions of people, where the potential is unmatched. And then if we actually head over here to the fundamental piece, I just have a couple of highlights, and I want to fixate your attention on these two key vocabulary words. It says regulated blockchain. Okay, so we'll get to that in just one second, but let's read through some of this. So this is from November 9th, 2024. As of time of recording it, it is the 29th. So, it's only 20 days old. So this is still pretty fresh. Red Date Technology, together with China Mobile Open Wallet Foundation, IDA, Flare, and Terminal 3, has successfully demonstrated the world's first cross-border personal identifiable information KYC trials powered by China Real DID. 4 groundbreaking use cases were unveiled at the DID-based Cross-Border Identity Summit in Hong Kong that just recently took place. The event also marked the launch of Project Open DID, signaling a watershed moment for privacy-focused identity solutions. Launched last year by China's official identity management authority, China Real ID is the world's first national-level decentralized identifier system built on top of the National Citizens Database. I hope that you guys understand that that mouthful of vocabulary right there is extremely important. This is not some random joke or some small use case. This is massive. The National Citizens Database for China. Okay, come on now, people. I'm just saying, and Flare just partnered with these people. China's Real ID represents a monumental shift in how government-issued digital identity is managed, and we are proud to lead its first application trials outside mainland China, said, I'm not going to butcher this gentleman's name, CEO of Red Date Technology. This milestone lays a solid foundation for anonymous identity authentication and verification across 2 shores, reflecting the international potential of Chinese blockchain technology to safeguard user privacy without compromising compliance. Red Date Technology has been an instrumental part in bringing China Real ID, or DID, into everyday life scenarios and regulated blockchain-based applications, and they just partnered with Flare. So right there off the back, to lead back to my earlier statement, as retail investors, isn't one of our biggest concerns being rug pulled by an organization or a blockchain or some crypto asset that's not regulated? And you can clearly see Red Date Technology has been instrumental in bringing China's Real DID into everyday life scenarios and regulated blockchain-based applications, and they just did this with Flare. So doesn't that, collectively speaking, mean, albeit they're not directly going and saying Flare is regulated, wouldn't that therefore then mean in some way, shape, or form, Flare is regulated, right? Put 2 and 2 together. So here are the use cases. It says track 1. I won't go over that. Track 2 and track 3 are where Flare was involved. So track 2 says anonymous registration on regulated stablecoin wallet applications, partners were Flare and IDA. Track number 3, purchase tokens-based financial products with built-in tax compliance, and the partners were Flare and IDA again. Last but not least, this is an individual representative, the founder of Open Wallet, said, for the first time, we are combining government-issued identity verification. So again, Flare, in some way, shape, or form, having to be regulated because they're working with governmental entities, okay? Verification for and with ironclad privacy, a true leap toward data sovereignty, and a pivotal move in enhancing Hong Kong's status as a pioneering Web3 hub. So I thought that I'd bring that to everybody's attention. That, to me, was some massive news that we got from the beginning of this year. And yet again, another reason why I hold Flare in my portfolio, because I see that in some way, shape, or form, if they're not already regulated, then they're attempting to do business and be partners with individuals in the space that need to be regulatory, compliant and already are. Okay, moving on. So a couple of weeks ago, I posted this out to you guys where I said everything we consume is controlled by algorithms. Do y'all remember a video clip of an individual representative at a summit, the CSIS, I believe it was off the top of my head, that said something like this about how everything via our daily lives is controlled by algorithms and data collection? Take a second and listen.
To the most vulnerable people in the world, the poor.
Yeah.
But these are the issues of our day. Think about your own lives. What you read, what you know, what you watch, what you buy, everything is increasingly determined by algorithms. Our lives are being taken over by so as a society.
Right. Underneath of this post, I said data is the new currency. And I took some screenshots of this fundamental piece from the World Economic Forum, where they go on to talk about a framework for advancing data equity in the digital world, October 16, 2024. Now, I don't want to bore you guys to absolute death. All in all, it talks about the importance of data equity and, data equality in this new digital world that we're heading into. Data equity is a shared responsibility that requires collective action to create data practices and systems that promote fair and just outcomes for all. Continuously considering the human impact of data is crucial given the ever-expanding role of data-driven systems in today's digital societies. And literally, if you go over to the Flare's homepage, it says, Flare, the blockchain for data. Like, it literally says that. So again, the importance of understanding use cases that are going to be paramount in the near future is extremely important to your longevity in your long-term portfolio in the space. So this continues to go on and mention, we live in a digital society that leverages algorithmically automated database systems increasingly used for decision-making. Again, like the individual rep just said that I presented to you guys months ago when we were talking about this, our data-driven world was not designed in a manner that drives equitable outcomes simply because it was not designed with equity in mind. Instead, it was created with all of our societal varieties, historical inequities, biases, and differences. All right. And so again, Flare being the blockchain for data, let's take a second and just listen to what Hugo Filion here says about, the abilities of Flare that no other ecosystem or blockchain has when it comes to data. Just take a second and listen. This is going to be a little bit of a draw on the video because it's a little bit lengthy, but again, sit back, relax, and just listen to what Hugo Filion, the co-founder of Flare Network, has to say.
It's a problem like you can. I'd love if you could sort of explain the root cause of why this is such a shit show and the solution you guys are providing for this.
I think one of the things that we noticed when we were doing our big research phase before we started was that people are really, really happy to launch quick and dirty solutions because it makes them a lot of money.
That's crypto, baby.
Indeed. But it's not something that serious engineers do. And it's also not something you would do if you had been, ever exposed to risk in finance. It would, looking at the models of existing oracles, why are there issues there? So you've got a couple of things. Firstly, to understand an existing oracle, you have to understand it as an application that is not native to the chain you're using. It's essentially an external service of which the chain, let's say Ethereum or any of the L2s, they have no idea really what the chain itself knows nothing about the oracle. There's no guarantees that derive from the chain around the oracle, and there's no guarantees how many, whether the oracle will still be part of the service tomorrow. It might be, it might not be. There's no guarantees around how many validators or what they're not actually validators, they're nodes, are providing you a price. And so what you have with existing oracles is a situation where there aren't clear security guarantees. The situation gets worse when you think between the largest oracle providers, the worst provided price has only 5 nodes that are contributing to that price. That's an extremely small set of people who need to be malicious in order to damage that price. And these oracles are securing roughly $40 billion worth of value, securing in inverted commas, because the reality is we've built something worse than TradFi, right? So when I go and put a trade on in TradFi, the people I trade through, they have a legal obligation towards me to give me a fair price. When you're using DeFi, there is no obligation on your oracle to give you a correct liquidation price or a correct entry price. So fundamentally, what's been built so far is gives you a worse set of guarantees than if you were just using TradFi. And to me, that seems completely berserk.
Yeah,
you know,
it's ass backwards. The whole we're trying to build a better solution than TradFi.
And so in crypto, you don't have legal guarantees. We don't want legal guarantees. We want software guarantees. We want guarantees that come from the theory and the practice behind decentralization. We want for our systems to be as secure as, proof of stake. And so that's where the idea behind building a layer one, where the oracles are part of the chain and secured in the same way as the chain is secured, really came from. And we have two core oracles. One is called the Flare time series oracle. That's for time series data, which to all intents and purposes is price data. And the Flare data connector. So that's for Web 2 data and Web 3 data. So we can prove onto the chain an event from another blockchain like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and L2, any of the other chains that we're connected to. We can prove an event from Web 2 API, like indeed the outcome of a sporting match or the outcome of the debate. So, we could potentially take.
So I'll pause it there. It gets a little bit nerdy, and I know that there's a lot of people on YouTube, no offense, with short attention spans when it comes to people starting to get into detail about these back-end systems and the solutions that these blockchains provide, because a lot of people on YouTube are here for speculation and hype. So I won't continue to play the video breakdown, but you guys should definitely go check this one out. Crypto News Spotlight posted this 2 months ago, has 574 views. And all in all, he pretty much said that the current blockchain systems are actually worse than traditional finance. And, Flare resolves a lot of the solutions that the current blockchain environment still or has not brought to the table yet. And he talks about the two data solutions that Flare provides. Okay. So, go over to the Flare website. I highly suggest that you take a second and you read some of these white papers, these documentations that Flare has on their different data solutions. For example, the Flare data connector, and so on and so forth. Okay. The FTSO solution that they also provide, just go read them. All right. Go read through them, educate yourself on why this is so important, considering that you have large organizations, like the World Economic Forum, discussing and talking about how important data is going to be as we transition into this digital future. So this is, the second reason, the second layer as to why I'm so heavily fixated and bullish on Flare long-term and why it's in my long-term portfolio, because they are fixated on solving these problems, right? So first we covered digital identity, how Flare is operating in somewhat of a regulatory environment or with regulated organizations. Then we covered the importance of data. You heard Hugo Filion talk and mention about data. You heard, the individual representative from the CSIS talk about algorithms running the entire world. And you have, a World Economic Forum document talking about data equity and algorithms enhancing and making all of our decisions for us. Again, put two and two together. If Flare is the blockchain for data, they're one of, if not the best in the space right now for the data environment in the Web3 ecosystem in particular, without getting too nerdy on what it is that they do. Put two and two together. They're most likely going to be a long-term survivor and bring solutions to these markets that are going to be used on a global scale in the future moving forward. So I thought that I'd bring that to the table as well. Now, you heard in that little tiny video clip, Hugo Filion mentioned DeFi. So now we're going to get into that, because that is the third reason as to why flares in my long-term portfolios because I believe in the longevity of DeFi, and I've been heavily involved in DeFi, scaling and growing my wealth not only in the now by utilizing my digital assets, but practicing my ability to scale my wealth in the now. So that way, when I have millions after this next bull market cycle, I can take those millions, deploy them onto the DeFi ecosystem, and literally never go broke. Like, always have money printing for me, passive income on a consistent basis. And I've shown you guys reputable individuals on space telling you all that DeFi is not going away. It's here to stay. Institutions are only going to pick up the pace. And I'm going to show you that first before I get into DeFi on the Flare ecosystem and why I think it's so crucial to be paying attention to. Take a second and listen.
The second thing that I want to talk about is institutions. So when I first entered the space in 2017, I came from Fidelity. And at the time, the conversation was, okay, when are the institutions going to enter blockchain and really make this a more legitimate space? And this conversation has been happening for the past 7 years. But if you look at the market today, I don't think there's an institution that would say crypto is going away. In fact, this year, we saw one of the largest financial institutions, BlackRock, partner with a company, Securitize, one of our portfolio companies, to tokenize their own fund called BULLISH. And if you look at this trend, RWA stands for real world assets. Real world assets is any sort of asset that you can tokenize on chain. Regardless of the numbers on this graph, it's up and to the right. And I think what we're seeing is a shift from theory to actual live production on the institutional side. And then the last data point that I want to talk about is DeFi. And I'm not really going to talk about DeFi as a sector, but what I want to point out is when DeFi was first starting out in 2018, or you can sort of decide what date that would be, it was an experiment. We were rebuilding the financial infrastructure from the ground up. But now, 5 or 6 years later, DeFi has withstood a number of major shocks to its system, whether that's COVID, the regional banking crisis in the US, or even our own crypto cycle with FTX and other players. And through it all, DeFi continued to work, and we are seeing players like Aave and Uniswap prove to be resilient and prove that the technology works. And this is a brand new infrastructure that didn't exist.
Okay, so again, in that video clip, I just wanted to prove to you guys, institutions are coming, crypto's not going away, DeFi is not some scam, you're not going to get rug pulled if you take a mature strategical approach and you actually know what you're doing. It's here to stay, and you need to start paying attention to it. We've been attempting to try to teach you guys this. Again, if you're new here, head over to the CYPRX playlists tab, type in yield playlist or look for the yield playlist, watch some of those video breakdowns so you're educated on what's happening and the potential that you have in DeFi to get your digital assets working for you. If you want a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown on that, again, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. Come tap into our Wealth 28 Club. We literally have an educational university that you can go through with over 100 video breakdowns showing you everything from A to Z about DeFi, how to get involved, right? How we are getting involved with literally thousands of dollars of our own money in this space, growing our wealth in the now. Now, why am I even discussing and talking about this when it comes to Flare? Well, CYPRX Research Labs team, by the way, if you guys don't follow this platform, if you're still here, again, smash that thumbs up button. Let's take a break. Let's do that real quick. Smash that thumbs up button if you hold Flare. If you're new to Flare and you're learning something new, smash that thumbs up button. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the YouTube. CYPRX Research Labs over on the X Space, go follow them. They're always dropping so much good, juicy information. They said, after Trump's victory, I'm going to butcher this dude's name, Zomni, founder of DeFi Llama, reported a 40% increase in users. Attention is shifting back to DeFi, which I completely agree. If you go back and you watch previous video breakdowns, you guys know I'm a big advocate that as we head into a lower interest rate environment, the search for yield is going to continue to increase, and the appetite for DeFi or higher yielding assets that are safe are going to also continue to increase. And we've known now that institutions are coming to DeFi. DeFi solutions are being provided to institutional clients and investors, and it is going to only continue to increase in scale as the regulatory environment increases that I've been trying to show you guys. The INATBA, they just put out a policy proposal for staking activities with DeFi, seeking to create a clear tax and regulatory framework that promotes innovation while maintaining compliance. Okay, you guys can see this is again from the CYPRX researchers. We put this out to you guys from November 2024. Regulations are starting to pick up. Not only that, but did you guys freaking see the Bank of International Settlements also in November this year put out a BIS working paper all about decentralized finance and DeFi strategies and yield earning, right? If you hit Command F in this document and you literally type in passive, you can see they talk to you guys about passive income in this. It says part of the reason for AMM's future growth popularity is the potential to earn passive income as a liquidity provider. In the CYPRX Wealth 28 Club, from A to Z, we discuss and talk about becoming a liquidity provider and how to earn yield on your digital assets through providing liquidity with digital assets that you most likely already hold. And Flare's DeFi ecosystem is one of those ones that you should not sleep on. We are going to be able to take our Flare. I mean, you can do it now, but I say you are going to be able to, because not a lot of people know about this or are even comfortable doing this. But you are, after you become educated, after you mature, and after you take a strategical approach, you're going to be able to take your Flare, deploy it safely and securely onto the DeFi ecosystem and use it to earn yield. And we can see here, this is from Flare Network. What did they just post? This is from November 26th. This is so crazy to see. Just a kind reminder, we started DeFi on Flare 3 months ago, and they're already at $22 million in TVL locked. I'm actually pretty sure that they surpassed on DeFi Llama, they surpassed the XRPL in total value locked in their DeFi ecosystem, which is monumental. We've shown you guys previous video breakdowns of individual representatives on stage saying that DeFi brought utility to Ethereum.
Perfect. I think this all makes a ton of sense. What I can see here is that the journey Bitcoin is on right now is very similar to the journey ETH was on a few years ago. DeFi actually brought utility to ETH, right? Now, if you're holding ETH, you can lend it, you can borrow, you can stake, you can do so many things.
And so if DeFi brought utility to Ethereum, and we're seeing the Flare Network DeFi ecosystem starting to scale, what's going to happen again to not only the utility of Flare Network, but the price as more demand comes onto the market for Flare, the digital asset. Put 2 and 2 together. So I'm attempting to really show you guys why I'm so bullish on Flare. And you can see here, I mean, just look at this, okay? We went from back in October to about $5 million in TVL locked up to about almost $25 million in TVL locked on the Flare DeFi ecosystem. That is monumental. And if you guys remember, I shared this video breakdown from Hugo Filion. This is only from 5 months ago. Listen to what he says. I personally, when I'm investing in something, like to seek longevity in what it is that I'm investing in. And I like to have that support from founders, co-founders, CTOs, CEOs, whoever's on the team of whatever it is that I'm investing in. Check this out. Listen to what Hugo Filion says about his, perspective of Flare and the DeFi ecosystem in years to come.
Fully on a blockchain. So I think there's always going to be a lot of centralized aspects of compute. And I think we see that more and more, actually. But fast forward 10 years, I think DeFi will have expanded dramatically. It is an incredibly valuable set of protocols.
I'll leave it right there. He drops the mic. I think that in 10 years, DeFi is going to expand dramatically.
Fast forward 10 years, I think DeFi will have expanded dramatically. It is. So
far, we've covered digital identity, Flare partnering up with regulated individuals in this space or organizations in this space, showing regulatory compliance and adherence. We talked about data. I showed you guys in detail how the world is running on data, and it's only going to continue to grow as we move into this digital realm. And Flare is the blockchain for data. They've provided data solutions that are, again, in comparison to other solutions in this market, incomparable. You can't compete with Flare compared to other oracles and other data blockchains. And then now we're talking about the topic of DeFi. I've shown you guys now how DeFi is not going away. That's from an institutional perspective. I've shown you guys organizations in this space that are from the regulated aspect, right? Like the BIS, the INATBA, putting out policies and frameworks for regulating this DeFi ecosystem. And now we're on Flare, and Hugo Filion, again, confirming his long-term perspective that DeFi in 10 years is only going to continue to grow. Well, check this out. So this is, again, from the Flare website. You can gather so much information just from reading these documents and reading these fundamental pieces from the digital assets and blockchain networks that you invest in. So this is from September 16, 2024. The Flare Time Series Oracle FTSO is an enshrined oracle that provides decentralized data to Flare. This is the other data solution that Hugo Filion was talking about, again, that you guys should go do research on. The first one was the data connector. This one is the FTSO. So what's in FTSO v2? I'm not going to sit here and bore you guys to death and read all of that. I want to get to the portion where it talks about why this matters and why DeFi on Flare. So why does FTSO v2 matter? Guaranteed security, reliability, accessibility, and it goes into detail on each of those things. Again, I don't want to bore you guys to death. Down here, it says enhancing Flare's DeFi ecosystem. This is what I find extremely juicy. FTSO V2 paves the way for innovative DeFi apps while empowering existing platforms to refine and expand their offerings. Flare users can benefit significantly from the FTSO V2, these acronyms are killer, in several ways within the rapidly growing Flare DeFi ecosystem. FTSO V2 enables more frequent price feeds, allowing lending and borrowing platforms like Kinetic to issue and settle loans more effectively. Do you guys remember that institutional investor on stage where I told you guys and I showed you? This confirms that financial institutions are not going to leave behind lending and borrowing abilities. And the dude on stage confirmed that to be the case. Take a second and listen.
To me, has always been one of the North Stars for this.
And I think you look at a market that's north of 10 trillion of assets. It's all paper.
Yeah.
There's really no digitization, blockchain or otherwise. And so I think it's only a matter of time until you can perform those other functions, lend, borrow, provide liquidity to facilitate trading, these types of things, which also enhance your returns.
Yeah.
Right. So by making it composable, now you can actually boost your return on top in a fundamental way.
Yeah.
And so I don't think, smart money is going to leave that on the table once they understand the mechanics.
Yeah.
And on Flare's website, what does it say they're attempting to do? Literally right here, enhance lending and borrowing. Advanced perpetual futures and options. With faster and reliable data feeds, platforms like XDeFi and SparkDex can power advanced financial instruments and help ensure platform solvency by dynamically setting user funding rates and settling agreements. Improve cross-chain order books. The upgrade FTSO facilitates platforms like Layer 0 and Raindex to enable more efficient, smooth, secure cross-chain transactions. Then it last but not least mentions real-world asset integration, which is massive. We all know that the real-world asset industry is huge potential, okay, for any blockchain that takes a portion of that entire niche. The enhanced Oracle enables more accurate pricing of real-world assets on-chain. It can support on-chain treasury yields like Clearpool, enabling further integration between traditional finance and blockchain. So again, detailed analysis for you guys, why I'm so bullish on Flare Network. We've discussed and talked about digital identity, data, DeFi. Now I want to get into the security enhancements, okay? So this was just recent. This is actually from today, the 29th of October. This is the last thing that I have to share with you guys. I know that we're 30 minutes in. If you watch the entirety of this video breakdown, you're a trooper, you like real research, and you understand the value of researchers like myself presenting all this information and taking time to present all this information, because this is the future, people. If you guys don't understand that, then again, I can't help you see it. You have to be able to cut through the noise and all the distractions that are out there right now that are taking your attention away from these things. These are the things that matter, not the bullish price predictions. Unless you're a day trader or an avid dollar cost averager that likes to take profit when you're in profit immediately, these short-term price fluctuations on digital assets like Flare don't matter, because these are the assets that are going to survive into 2030 and beyond. Okay, again, my personal opinion, not financial advice. Here you can see Flare. They just posted, we are teaming up with Chain Patrol, a leading AI-powered threat intelligence platform to address the complex challenges of Web3 and security and protect our community and digital assets. To revert back to digital identity, Flare, partnering up with regulated entities, shows maturation not only on their behalf, but of this ecosystem attempting to protect users and investors in this space. Well, last but not least, after digital identity, data, and DeFi, I told you guys I wanted to talk about how they are adapting with the changing environment and enhancing their security. Okay, so Flare partnering with Chain Patrol, check this out. If we head over here, first, I want to share this document. This is from Delta Logics, their insight paper from 2024. And it says, in an era of digital identities, our online presence has grown to define a significant part of our lives, influencing not only social and professional interactions, but also extending to legal realms. In many countries, digital identities are becoming legally recognized, providing an official and binding link between the virtual and physical worlds, which I've told you guys is only going to continue to increase. Safeguarding personal data in this environment becomes paramount. The complexity of digital landscapes and the myriad ways in which data can and is interconnected mean that stakes are higher than ever before for cyber attacks. Okay. And so with that being said, this new partnership, Chain Patrol partnering with Flare, what does it say it does? Chain Patrol is a Web3 security platform that detects, blocks, and takes down threats across social media domains. Chain Patrol's threat detection system makes use of advanced LLM scanning, image recognition, and proprietary models to detect brand impressions and malicious actors targeting brands and people and organizations. So Flare is literally partnering with an organization that's attempting to protect you in this new digital realm, to wrap it up in a nutshell. Okay, and this is just from today. So all in all, remember, to revert back to the opening up of this video breakdown, it was to show you guys why I am stacking Flare. Again, it's just one of the many assets in my portfolio, but I was asked by you guys to capitalize into other aspects of my portfolio, and Flare plays a big role in building my long-term portfolio. Stacking Flare while it's only at 2 cents, considering that I personally think it's going to be trading well above that in the next consecutive couple of years. This is not bullish moonboy hype for me. This is just research, straight data and information, showing you guys things that the mainstream is never going to bring to your attention. So do me a favor, if you enjoyed this, showing you guys in detail, 4 different aspects to Flare as to why I'm bullish: digital identity, data, DeFi, security. Smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the platform, and comment down below if you guys enjoy video breakdowns like this. I would love to do them more often for you all, but I got to know that you all like them. So let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this. And with that being said, as always, be cognizant, be aware out there. None of this is financial advice. Always consider doing your own personal research. If you guys want to learn more about DeFi, you want to get more involved with the private CYPRX community, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. Our holiday discount codes are lasting until December 31st. So many different ways for you guys to get involved with CYPRX. We'd love to have you on the team. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video breakdown.